The annual circus of UN climate talks has just ended here in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. I'm Brahic, I'm the environment editor for The Economist, and this is my take on the outcome of COP27. It was truly an extraordinary night. I have been to 7, I believe, of these conferences now, and I've seen them finish at all hours of the day, morning and night. Coming in on Saturday, the hall was completely empty. It's tumbleweeds here. As you can see, most people have left. Most people, that is, except for the politicians who are still trying to come to an agreement on several key points. The delegates really were very divided on many of the issues, and in the end the Egyptians decided to run talks right the way through the night. They were just determined to get it through. In the end, there were 2 big wins and 1 substantial loss at COP27. The first win was a very first acknowledgement at this high political level that the issue of loss and damage is here to stay, and that it requires funds to flow from donor countries to the most vulnerable countries to the impacts of climate change. This was a real win for poor countries. The issue of loss and damage has been swatted away for 30 years, since the early 1990s. For the most part, there's always been a sense that this was a losing issue, and so to have it recognised at this higher political level, to have it in an official UNFCCC document, and to have that recognition not only that loss and damage is here to stay, but that it requires finance flows, is a big win. The second win is, I think, an acknowledgement, something that's been bubbling around in climate circles for several years now, that in order to truly address climate change, there's going to need to be a rethink of the global financial system. And then finally the big loss, and this was felt most acutely in the closing plenary, was a sense that delegates came here for what was billed as the implementation COP. They wanted to see a real push for greater ambition on action on climate change, for greater ambition for decarbonisation. There was a certain amount of momentum that was generated in Glasgow last year, an acknowledgement that the next 8 years now out to 2030 are essential to limit global warming. And people came here hoping that they were going to be able to build on that with targets, with discussions about peaking carbon dioxide emissions, for instance. That didn't materialise, and it was very, very clear that that was acutely felt as a loss by many of those present in the room.
Emissions peaking before 2025, as the science tells us, is necessary. Not in this text. Clear follow-through on the phase down of coal, not in this text. A clear commitment to phase out all fossil fuels, not in this text.
There's a sense here that some of the failings of this talk, some of the things that weren't quite finalised, and certainly not in the ways that people had hoped, have left quite a lot of work to do ahead of next year's COP and at the summit in Dubai in November next year. I've got to go and see how the copy is doing, and then I'm going to go to sleep. To read more about COP and all things climate, please click on the link.